nothing to it. Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you I'm warm, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm gonna reconcile bonds. Here ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to from 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is so. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that, y'all. Here we go.
It's the Saturday Pigskin rolling along all the way into week 5, the high school football regular season halfway over. And here at the midway point, we got you covered with all the action. I'm Brian Skowronski, joined by my dude Effie James today. And F, since we're just a two-man crew today, normally I have Eric Will tell me something that he thought about the week. So you got double duty today. Tell me 2 things that you know are true about week 5 of the football season.
Wow, week 5 always tells the truth. That's first thing. It always tells the truth about your team, and it also tells about the importance of conference play and what conference play means and how it differentiates between non-league games. We saw some conference games that didn't go the way we thought they should, and we saw some non-league games, some surprising non-league games also. So conference season is always big. It shows a better level of focus for these teams as opposed to non-league games where it's just about playing ball and seeing who's best.
I would say what stood out to me is that we got a couple of top flight players in this area. We got some real ballers, and we have 2 teams, in my opinion, that could be in contention for some regional championships. Let's go ahead and see what they did last night under the Friday night lights right now in the runback. We begin with Lucas on the road at Willard, taking on the Flashes. Team still in search of their first win, and it wasn't about to happen on Ethan Sauter's watch. This was the first score of the game. Many were to follow for the Cubs. Tommy Zerzo had a pair of scores. This one coming up right here made it 14-zip, and it's simply a case where Willard was outmatched. Just too many good players for the Cubs. They're loaded again.
Yeah, an outstanding running game. Zerzo was just dominant inside. Their offensive linemen won the line of scrimmage, and when you do that, you're going to beat most teams, much less an inferior team like Willard.
41-0 was the final score of this game as the Cubs roll to 4-1 overall. Looks like it's going to be another playoff team out there in Lucas. Hillsdale was looking to go to 5-0 last night, hosting conference rival Rittman, who entered the game with just 1 loss on the season. They would have 2, though, when it was all said and done. We'll start the highlight action with Colton Bishop. He got the scoring going as he brings in this TD grab right here. He would taste Pater again a little later on. This made it 16-0 in the second quarter. Ty Williams later in the contest would get in on the scoring, not once, but 2 times in the game. The Falcons would soar in this thing, Effie. 37-zip, a conference rivalry. Looked like it was going to be a good one on paper, not so much.
Yeah, you got to come to play in the conference games, and if you don't, you're going to get a lot of points put on you, and that's what happened to Rittman on Friday night.
So the Falcons remain undefeated on the 5-week season so far. Shelby hosting Marion Pleasant, the scoreboard operator over at Skiles Boy. He got his money's worth last night. After a wild first quarter, it's 13-7 Whippets right now, but Owen Fisher about to make a house call, 20-7, as he goes down the sideline from the 80-plus. Later in the second, it's McGuire Albert. He had 5 total touchdowns in this game. This one to Blaine Bowman, who was wide open on a busted coverage play. Alex Jochum had a career night, 176 yards on 6 catches, as the Spartans actually led this thing 27-21, but behind Fisher, 295 yards from scrimmage. Shelby comes back to win this thing, 54-33. They are now 4-1 on the season. Finally, one of the biggest matchups in the entire state, regardless of division. Undefeated Sandusky and Mansfield Senior hadn't played each other in 11 years. This is an old-school rivalry. They were excited to play each other, and Terrian Stewart is going to shake loose on just the 3rd play from scrimmage. 68-yard touchdown run, Effie. Did this seem like it was like, uh-oh, for Tigers fans right away?
Well, right away, they got to see the speed of the game change from their previous opponents, and I think that woke them up a little bit.
Well, it just so happens that the Tigers got a D1 recruit too, and Angelo Gross. That's an incredible catch right there. He had 10 of them on the night for 177 yards and 2 scores. There's one right there in front of the band, getting them all fired up. And then it's Amajiano Robinson putting the Tigers up 2 scores on the first play of the 4th quarter. Senior high goes on to 5-0, 21-14 the final. I'm going to let this roll out for a second because this doesn't happen very often. There was a Tigers student section looking them in the house. TY gets the W. So 21-14, we've been talking about this Tigers game for, it seems like 5 weeks now on the show. So Mansfield Senior gets it done at home at Arlin Field. Yeah. Where did they fall on the impressive meter for you in terms of how they looked?
As a team, I thought they played well, as I thought they would. I thought both teams were nervous in the beginning, but after that, seeing both teams with the speed of the game, I thought they played well. I'm more impressed, though, even though as good as Angelo Gross is, and we all know, I walked away even more impressed because he was special. You know, there's a difference between being a good player and being special. He was special last night, and when it came down to it, he made big plays on both sides of the football in the special teams game. When the ball was in his hands, he was electric, and I was even more impressed with Angelo after that night, more than anything else.
He lifted the entire spirit of the team. I seen him on the sideline a couple of times. He brought the juice for the Tigers last night. Yes. And the guy that kind of stirs everything for them offensively, that head coach Shelby Bradley was super complimentary of in the post-game presser that he did with us local media, was their quarterback Cameron Todd. He wasn't even asked, but he started talking about the poise that he has, just the leadership that he displays in the huddle. How valuable do you think that is for this team, having a senior leader like Cam, who really does he always keeps it together. He always seems like he's cool and collected.
Well, the thing about Cam, he had great expectations coming into the year, but the fact is he didn't have that much body of work. You know, he didn't play as much when he was in Ontario. He had an injury. He came here, he had to sit for half the season last season. So this is his really, introduction into full season of football, and he has progressed tremendously, and I gotta give credit to his quarterback coach Jacob Owens, who has really been working with him on keeping the game simple. Yeah. And you can see that in the games. Now the only thing that he's probably talking about this morning is he probably took a couple sacks that were unnecessary. He's got to get rid of the football a little bit quicker. But in terms of his decision making and valuing the football, he has become much better, and his stats are very efficient, throwing over 200 yards. 2 touchdowns last night, and just a very good, solid night for your senior quarterback. And when you got a great defense, your job is to not hurt the team.
My bold call last week is that the Tigers would hold Sandusky to single digits. I was 30 seconds away from that happening. I'm still 0 on the season on those bold calls. Let's take a look at some other OCC scores. Worcester beat Lexington 41-24. That's the 2nd straight win for the Generals, 4th straight loss for Lexington. West Holmes clobbers Madison 52-7. Ashland gives Mount Vernon their first loss 42-27. It's also the first win for the Arrows on the season, and shout out to Sean Cedar, the first-year head coach, for getting a W. Like, what type of weight do you think that is off his shoulders this morning?
That's a huge weight for him, just knowing that, again, you still got so much to play for. That's the great thing about conference season. Although they went 0-4, now it's a new season. Yeah. And they're 1-0. They're undefeated in this new season. So they got a lot to be excited about in Ashland. They still have the weaponry, I think, to make a run at this conference title.
I feel like it's tough right now to watch Madison in just kind of the direction of the program at this point. I was doing a little bit of research. They got 3 wins over the last 4 seasons. That is absurd. Yeah. Just thinking about the history over there, they have such a strong football program. Just what do you think the day-to-day process right now is looking like for the Rams? How do they turn this thing around? What do you think they're trying to do at this point?
Well, at this point, now you won't find any guys that say this, but at this point, you are looking to your youth programs, and you're looking at your sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and you're working hard with them to make the best of the following season or 2. But your focus right now as a program, not just a team, as a program, is looking into your youth sports teams. You're getting down into the middle school and even younger, and trying to get kids that want to play football, teaching them fundamentals, getting them excited about playing football, so that in the next few years you can build up that tradition so it can be what it used to be. Because right now they're just lacking numbers, they're lacking size, aggression, athleticism, and interest in football overall.
And with the strength of the OCC, I could possibly foresee Madison going 0-10 again this season, which they did a couple years ago. That's kind of unfortunate to watch.
Sure.
In the MOAC, a couple of scores. Norwalk runs over Ontario 52-7. This thing was never close. It was a blowout from the first quarter on. Clearfork loses at River Valley. This one surprised me a little bit. 20-14. I was told the Colts had a couple of chances where they got into the red zone in the fourth quarter and they came away with 0 points. And then Galion rolls Harding 42-19, setting up a really pivotal contest, I would say. The Tigers hosting the Colts next week, coming off of a loss versus being 5-0 for Galion. I mean, this is huge for both teams, obviously.
Right. It's one of those games where you don't know. It's another one of those, you throw the records out. It's a league game. You have no clue. It really depends on who plays the better game. These two teams are going to be evenly matched. It's going to be about who's going to come to play and who's going to execute their game plan. Because both teams clearly have the talent to win. But right now, Galion's on a roll. You know, being undefeated, there's a lot to say about not losing any games, no matter who the competition.
Speaking of executing your plays, last week you talked about the RPO. We're going to look a little bit deeper into that, kind of the modern day triple option as we go over to the whiteboard. Break it down for you folks right now.
All right, today, so we're going to talk about the differences between old school triple option, traditional triple option that I ran years ago, and as compared to today's triple option that Shelby and McGuire Albert ran on Friday night. So let's take a look at the old school triple option where we had 2 backs, quarterback, 2 receivers, single receiver side. The first option was as a quarterback in the I. That's the first difference. Spin around here, your fullback runs to the B gap. So as a quarterback, my eyes are right here where I read the end. If this end goes upfield, I give it, we block down, and here we go. We got a great crease there for a good run. Now, if this end comes down and takes the dive, I pull it, I get out on the perimeter. Now my eyes go to the safety, and here's my tailback, my pitch man. If he takes the quarterback, I pitch, we block here, and here we go for the touchdown. That is old school triple option, as opposed to today's version, which is a little bit different. All right, so first of all, let's look at the alignment of the formations. All right, the formation is different. We have our quarterback in the shotgun. We have a 1-back set, and now we have 2 receivers to the strong side. So now our triple option looks like this. The first option is my tailback comes across, my quarterback's eye still reading the end. If this end goes upfield, I pull it, I give it to my running back, and then we got base blocking concepts on the front side. Okay? If he goes down and chases, I pull it from the running back, and now here is where the difference lies. Now my eyes go to this corner. And as you can see, McGuire Albert's going to do a great job where I have a fade route here by this receiver. So as I come out, now if this corner, if he comes up to play my run, I throw it deep. All right, if he stays back, I have another option. As a quarterback, I can run it or I can throw it to the short route here by my inside receiver. So as you'll be able to see on the run back of McGuire Albert's throw, he makes the decision, the cornerback stands still, he throws the deep ball for the touchdown.
So there's a look at the modern day triple option and the way that the Shelby Whippets are executing it. And we've been getting a lot of awesome feedback so far about our whiteboard breakdowns, Effie. So much so that I went over to Tigers practice this week and they had watched the episode where you broke down their RPOs from a week ago. So they broke down a breakdown of your breakdown. Let's take a look.
So this guy was coming off the edge, and this guy was here. And we had these guys. These guys were stacked, right? Where was they coming from, the field or the boundary?
Well, it didn't matter.
This hanger.
Yes, sir.
He was coming from there, wasn't he? Effie had us reading this guy. Free safety.
Come on, Effie. You don't read that guy.
He was never even there. Free safety was way over here.
We got trips this time.
It was trips.
Effie, nobody's buying what you're telling them.
It was trips.
Effie.
Effie had us reading this guy.
Come on, man.
we were reading this guy. He vacated. We threw that right behind him.
So he hasn't been over for film study in a while.
No.
That's pretty evident.
We ride it, we pull it. Watch this guy. He vacates. We throw that right behind him. He ain't even in the equation. This guy.
He tried to be in the equation.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so the good friends of yours there in that Tigers locker room, do you have a response for them?
Well, I would say no. They're the experts. They're right. I haven't been in the film study as much as they have, so I will refer to their expertise. So good call by them. I'm going by my old experiences, and today's a new game, so I'll give it to them.
All right, let's go ahead and we're going to break down the top performances of the week right now, the best individual games that we saw under the Friday Night Lights, Friday Night Phenoms, presented by Baker's Collision. Let's dive right in over in Jeromesville, where Ty Williams, the Hillsdale junior running back / middle linebacker, had a heck of a game all over the field. 102 receiving yards, 36 rush yards, and a couple of scores as the Falcons remain undefeated. He's a big bruising guy, their top tackler as well. Top receiving threat. I mean, this kid just does it all, Effie.
Yeah, when you have a special guy like that on your team, you get him the ball in as many ways as you can. You get him involved in the offense and defense if he plays both ways. And they've done a great job of that with the all-purpose yards for that young man. That's an awesome game.
Williams was huge as Hillsdale beats down Rittman 37-0. We'll move over to Arlin Field now, where no surprise here, back on the list, Angelo Gross of Mansfield Senior, 10 catches, $177, and 2 touchdowns, and he had a couple of phenomenal catches that I guarantee we're going to see again later on Top Plays.
Right, for sure. Angelo played, he played like a big-time college star, and he should. In those games, they needed him. I thought at times they force-fed him the ball, and to be honest, I did that too. Because he was going to make the play. He caught a couple big catches in double and sometimes triple coverage. And the impressive thing that I thought, they were running the ball from the end zone. They're about inside their 5. They put him in at tailback and in an I formation, and they ran a lead draw, and he ran it like a 240-pound fullback. And the guy is just multi-talented. He can do it all. And he had a great night for the Tigers last night.
Go over to Willard now, where Tommy Zerzo of Lucas had a huge performance, the senior running back / middle linebacker. 15 carries, 115 yards on the ground, and 2 touchdowns. Again, it's another case, too, where he's also one of their best defensive players, so he just does it all over the field, getting it done for the Cubs.
I'm impressed at the way the Lucas kids seem to be in such tremendous shape. All of them mostly go both ways, and they play extremely physical brand of football. So for them to be lasting 4 quarters, playing hard, and I love watching one of the highlights where I see the quarterback Nicewander involved in the blocking scheme. So he hands the ball off, he's got a lead block also. That just shows the grit and the toughness and the style of that football team. It's awesome to watch.
And I like how they have a couple of their fast guys, and then Zerzo's a change of pace. He's their bruising back. A couple of touchdowns for him last night. McGuire Albert of Shelby, the senior quarterback, another huge performance. This dude's been lighting it up as of late. 12 of 22 through the air, 238 and a couple of scores. But then on the ground last night is where he was truly special. In those RPOs where he kept it himself, he made the right decision a lot of times, had 82 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground.
McGuire is really seeing the field well, is what I can see from him. He's seeing everything. It has slowed down for him now in his, I believe, his 2nd or 3rd year playing quarterback for Shelby, and he's making great decisions with the football. And 5 touchdowns is huge, but that says that you can see things becoming clear. And just like we showed on the play, that was a read that he made very quickly. It was a precise throw, and he's been doing that for the majority of the season.
His backfield mate, Owen Fisher, equally as awesome. The junior had 19 carries, 211 yards on the ground, 3 times he ended up in the end zone, and then 2 catches, 84 yards, and a score of 2 Effie. So we're talking 300 yards from scrimmage for one guy. That just doesn't happen very often. Owen Fisher, he's a standout so far this season.
Yeah, Owen Fisher is a great combination of speed, athleticism. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's able to do pretty much anything they need offensively. And when you got a guy like him, it makes life easier, and you can expand your playbook offensively because he's a guy that can take the ball to the house from anywhere on the field, and that's an extreme weapon for Shelby right now.
So the combination of Albert and Fisher leads to a 54-33 win over Pleasant. So those are the top individual player performances of the week. Now let's check out the top plays as brought to you by North Central State College. Nominee number 1, very first play of the second half at Willard, and Carson Hogger's already antsy for action. Reading his blocks, then bursting outside like a dine and dash, skipping 80-yard checks for 6. Cubs were big winners over the Flashes, thanks in part to the hungry Hogger. Our next nominee, I feel like we've seen this play 100 times already, but it's McGuire Albert on the edge and on the money. Blaine Bowman gets deep in behind the safety, and he's got friends waiting for him in the back of the end zone. 62 yards and a whippet score as the execution to the umpteenth degree. Play 3 takes us to midfield at Arlin, half winding down on the Tigers, so Cameron Todd goes deep against Sandusky. Angelo blows doing the rest. The future Michigan State Spartan beats the double team. Just crazy concentration and the athleticism to hawk the ball running as fast as that guy does. Plus it set up a huge score and the Tigers win. Follow me over to Dromesville now, where Caden Muchler's loading up and he wants the whole burrito. Colt Bishop bringing the salsa. Throwing a little bit of hot sauce as he hits the burners, ghost peppering his way 60 yards for a Falcon score. He had 2 TD grabs in this game as Hillsdale stays undefeated at 5-0. Wrap things up now with what looks like a simple Shelby toss out to the flats, but Owen Fisher thinks his play needs to be way cooler than Pleasant fans would like to see. How about the move, setting up some key blocks there? Then it's nothing but green pastures in front of Fisher, who covers 78 yards as the Whippets drop over 50 in a 4-1 start. So let's go ahead and put a big fancy bow on the first half of the season. 5 weeks in, what have we learned? What do you know, Effie?
Well, right now what we know is, Mansfield Senior is the class of this area when it comes to this football season. They showed that they have lived up to the hype thus far. They are the team to beat, and they can win big games. But can you win the big game? Can you win a game against a team that's equally matched talent for talent, speed, and athleticism?
The storyline that sticks out to me is the Lexington Minutemen. They looked awesome in the week 1 of the season. Caden Berry runs wild. They get a school record. They had so many different weapons. They really tore up Ontario. They haven't won since, and they haven't looked very good. They have to play Mansfield Senior coming up this week, so I feel like that's an incredibly exciting, intriguing game to keep an eye on, because the Tigers last night, they were talking about we want revenge for last year when they beat us at home when Cade Stover did what he did to them, but they don't got Cade Stover this year, so I'm curious to see how they're going to respond.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and let's get our crystal balls out. Maybe you can talk about that Tiger game. You want to make a bold prediction there? What you got for me for week 6?
Week 6, I'm going to stay away from the Tigers. Now I will add that I did say that they would win by 2 scores. So that was my last week's prediction. I would say that. But this year I'm gonna look at Ontario River Valley. I think Ontario has struggled here of late, and River Valley is a much improved program, but I think Ontario gets off the snide this week. I think they refine their winning ways, and I think they get a win against River Valley.
I like that prediction. People out in the Valley aren't going to like this, and Colts fans, I love you, man. Don't jump on my case, but, well, if you got to, you got to do what you got to do. I think GALION next week, it's going to be their last home game. They have to go on the road 4 straight weeks after that, So I think for their homecoming night, they are going to really want to prove to the area that they're a legit team. I think they steamroll Clear Fork. It's going to be the worst loss that we've seen for the Colts in a couple of years.
That's a big one.
Sorry, Colts fans, but I got to go bold. All right, that's Effie over there. Thanks as always for coming in on Saturday. Coach Will, hope you're enjoying seeing your boy Brendan Armstrong playing in South Bend. And I'm Brian. I'll be right back in this chair next Saturday. See you then.
Physical is a bottle of scotch. This just a little bit. I bet you think I'm giving a lot.